Welcome to the Krino Forensics. Today I, Tanisha, volunteer at Krino Forensic, will take you to the world of wildlife forensic. Now, what is wildlife forensic? So, wildlife forensics is the application of a scientific method to investigate crime involving the wild animals and their product. Case involves like illegal hunting, trafficking, poaching, and etc. So, scientists examines their biological evidences like DNA, hair, feather, bones, or tissue samples. So this all biological evidence help us to make understand whether the sample is unknown or of same kind, or the sample we got is of two different animals or of one single individual or not. Coming to the next slide, crimes and investigation, then evidence transfer, forensic analysis, case preparation, and prosecution. Here, forensic analysis plays a very crucial role as this helps us to identify whether the sample we have got is of same individual or it is of two different individual, or I can say what's the age of an animal. So forensic analysis plays a very crucial role for uncovering the crime to present in a court. Next, determine exactly what species is involved in a case. Investigator must know protected and non-protected species of animal, also where animal lived or where the product originated, help them to track the trafficking route. When animal is died, helps them to determine if the wildlife product was obtained legally or not. So investigators use some techniques or methods, or using some methods we can find out some answers like what species it is from, does it match to a specific individual, where did it came from, was it taken from wild, how old it is. So this all answer will be getting from some techniques which we will be learning further. So technique used are first DNA analysis, or I can say DNA barcoding or the mitochondrial DNA. So this all help in the identification of the species and to find the geographical location of an origin of animal. Next technique we have a morphological analysis. So this is a procedure to study the physical characteristics footprint, and both features are examined here, microscopic and macroscopic. The third technique which is mainly used is microscopic method. This is to analyze the biological sample and to trace the evidence. Many more like carbon dating for the older sample and decomposition analysis. For analyzing the sample, we need to collect and preserve it in a correct method so that the forensic analysis should be go in an easy way. So collection should be done like if a blood sample have to be collected from a live animal, so it should be done under the anesthesia. If hair is being collected from an animal, so it should be done from the pulling method rather than cutting the hairs. And tissue sample if we are collecting, so make sure it is not thicker than 1 centimeter. So collection of each sample have its each unique and different methods. Likewise, preservation of samples is also different from each one. Like blood sample should be stored in EDTA tubes in dry place or in a refrigerator. Then hair sample should be stored in a room temperature, or I can say in a frozen way. Tissue sample should be placed in the 100 of 10% of fluid formalin. So all this sample collection method and preservation differ from each other. So therefore, we also need to do the proper documentation, right? Like as collection and preservation going on, we need to make sure for the proper documentation like chain of custody, labeling of sample, then documenting the crime scene, even make sure the sealing of sample or the sample we collected has been properly sealed or not. This all documentation should be done in proper manner, in a sequential manner. It should not be miss any of this step. So now we have learned what is wildlife forensic. How do we do crime scene investigation? How do we collect the evidences? How to preserve the evidences? And what are the techniques used for analyzing this evidences? And also we know how to do the proper documentation. So let's come to some of this case study. We have first is the poaching. So, what does this case say? A poacher trapped and killed a wild pig in a national park. So, a blood stain has been found on the knife from the suspect that sends to the examination and find the wild pig blood around it. So, here the DNA analysis plays a crucial role to link the suspect to the crime scene, as the knife has an blood and which matches to the wild pig. Next we have a seized ivory. So ivory was seized and sent for the examination for determining the species and geographical location. So here the ivory revealed that it is belongs to an African elephant in Africa. So this helps us to identify the illegal ivory trend. So this is how some of the case studies goes here, and how the different methods help us to identify the case and worked on it. Now, challenges in the wildlife forensics. So wildlife forensic faces a unique challenges compared to the human forensic. Like there are a millions of animal species as compared to the human. Despite this challenge, wildlife forensic plays an important role in the conservation effort and help the law enforcement agencies to prioritize their efforts and reveal the trafficking patterns and the networks. At the end, I can say today we have learned what is wildlife forensic, how do we do the crime scene investigation, how to collect and preserve the evidences, how do we do the forensic analysis, what are the techniques do we usually use in the forensic analysis, and how do we do the proper documentation. And for example, we have also taken some of this case study like poaching case study and scissored ivory case studies, and also I have told you guys what are the challenges we faced in the wildlife forensic. Last but not the least, I can say this will be a connecting bridge between the preservation and protection wildlife law enforcement. With all these references and the PPT, I would like to say thank you.